Ophelia's screams shattered the silence of the hostel, bringing other girls rushing to the room. Some policemen arrived, taking Ophelia in for investigation. In the village of Omukoro, life moved at a slow, predictable pace. A group of gossipers would gather by the roadside each day, chatting about who married whom, whose daughter was acting too modern, and which family struggled to make ends meet. The chief among the subject of their whispers was Mama Ophelia, a hard-working widowed mother who sold ice fish and harvested yams and cassava to support her daughter's dream of going to the university. She thinks a girl child would do what for her? A sharp-tongued woman named Neka snickered one morning. After all, isn't it boys who bring honor to the family name? She'll just marry her off and send her to another family's house, chimed in Madame Igwe. I don't see why she bothers so much. But Mama Ophelia, always calm and graceful, didn't mind their gossips. Her beloved daughter Ophelia had passed her JAMB exams and been accepted into the University of Lagos to study business administration. With only a few pieces of clothing and a modest suitcase, Ophelia had journeyed from the small village to Lagos, her heart brimming with hope and pride. She promised herself and her mother that she would remain focused on her studies to bring home a degree and a brighter future. However, Lagos was a bustling city with people from all walks of life, and the University of Lagos was brimming with students who lived as if each day were a fashion show or a stage performance. Ophelia's first night in the girls' hostel was overwhelming. She saw girls with brightly colored handbags, expensive human hairs, and clothes that looked like they had come from magazines. Ophelia, in her simple dresses and braids, felt like she had landed on another planet. Among the flashy students, Ophelia soon became close with her roommate, Ruby. She was also a first-year student and same department with Ophelia. Ruby was from a moderate family, not as wealthy as some, but definitely better than Ophelia. Ruby always had words of encouragement, though sometimes her view on life seemed different. Ophelia was studious and diligent, often leaving for night classes, hoping to ace her exams and achieve her dreams. Ruby, Ophelia would call out as she prepared to head to the library for night study. Let's go. You know exams are coming. Oh, you go on, Ruby would say with a wave on her hand, often lying back on her bed with a glossy magazine or dozing off. I study better here. Besides, I'm sure I can manage well enough. One evening, after returning from a late night study session, Ophelia found Ruby already asleep. Her books nowhere in sight. Yet, despite Ruby's laid-back attitude, Ophelia couldn't help noticing that she somehow managed to keep up in class. Still, she often heard Ruby mumbling about wanting a big fun life with all the finer things. Weeks turned into months, and soon, Ophelia found herself in Ruby's company more often. Ruby, who seemed to know all the happening girls on campus, had a magnetic personality, pulling in friends and admirers alike. These friends were Tonia, Lizzie, and Bimbo. They were the flashiest girls on campus. Girls who wore designer brands. Everything about them was always on point and they walked around campus as if the world was their runaway. Ophelia, Ruby exclaimed one afternoon, eyeing her friend's simple outfits. Look at those girls. See their bags, their hair. Why don't we go say hi? No, Ruby. I am okay with the little I have. Besides, they're not on our level, Ophelia said, laughing off the suggestion. I'm just here to study, I beg. Ruby rolled her eyes. There you go again, thinking you're not enough. Yeah, it's true we are here to study, but it doesn't mean you can't have fun or meet new people. You never know where a connection could lead. Ophelia, a little fun won't hurt, and maybe you even find some connections that could help you get out of poverty. Or don't you want to come out of poverty? Ophelia laughed it off, shaking her head. But Ruby's words lingered. Over time, Ophelia watched as Ruby became increasingly drawn to her new flashy friends, who introduced her to a world of late night parties, clubbing, and endless talk of high class lifestyles. Ruby began missing classes, coming back late from outings, and most times she would come back with the latest handbags, shoes, and expensive human hairs. Soon, Ophelia became worried about her new lifestyle. She tried talking her out of it, but Ruby would always find a way to change their discussion. One evening, as the semester fees deadline came closer, Ophelia called her mother to check on the payment arrangements. Her mother's weary voice came through the cracking line. Business hadn't been good. No one had been buying ice fish, and the yams and cassava hadn't sold as I hoped. Mama Ophelia promised she'd try to find the money somehow, but Ophelia could hear the worry in her voice. Days went by, and the money didn't come. Desperate, Ophelia swallowed her pride and asked Ruby to lend her some money, just enough to complete her fees. Ruby looked at her, arms crossed and brows raised. Ophelia, Ruby sighed. There are men who would pay thousands just to spend the night with a girl as beautiful as you. I can't just give you my hard-earned money, can I? Ophelia hesitated, unsure if she could even consider Ruby's suggestion. But Ruby continued, her eyes widened with excitement. There's a big party tonight, okay? Look, you don't have to do anything wild. Just show up, enjoy yourself, and maybe chat with a rich guy or two. It's just one night. The money will come easily. I am serious. You have to trust me on this one, girl. Ophelia lay in bed that night. She could not sleep. She was restless, thinking of what Ruby said about her getting the money in just one night. But she could almost hear her mother's voice, encouraging her to keep her dignity. But the deadline was only days away, and the fees had to be paid. When morning came, Ophelia whispered to Ruby, "Fine, I'll try it, just once." Ruby was excited, and she set out helping Ophelia dress. Soon, Ophelia found herself in an outfit she barely recognized. A fitted dress, a pair of heels she could barely walk in, and a borrowed handbag. At 8 p.m., Ruby and Ophelia met the other girls, who greeted Ophelia with giggles and eye rolls. Bimbo asked, "Isn't she your roommate?" So she decided to finally roll with the big girls. Ophelia felt uncomfortable, but she had no choice, so they set out for the party. At the party, she was sitting alone by the bar, while Ruby and the other girls danced in excitement, having fun. As the night wore on, she was approached by a man whose air of authority was unmistakable. He was dressed impeccably, with a calm and confident look that made him appear powerful. As he introduced himself as Chief Clifford, he sat by her and asked the barman to get him 2 glasses of wine. Ophelia looked at him and smiled softly. Ruby instantly saw them and joined the conversation. "Hello sir, I am Ruby and this is my friend Ophelia. It's nice to meet you." "She's a little shy," Ruby joked, patting Ophelia's shoulder. Chief Clifford smiled, his gaze lingering on Ophelia. And finally, he asked if they would love to join him in his hotel room. Ruby was quick to answer, "Yes, of course." And so, they drove in his car as his 3 guardsmen followed with another car. When they got to his hotel room, Chief Clifford offered them food and drinks. They just chatted and laughed together. And finally, he called on one of his guardsmen. The guard appeared moments later carrying a suitcase. To Ophelia's surprise, Chief Clifford opened the suitcase, revealing neatly stacked bundles of cash. "Take it," he said simply, pushing the suitcase towards them. Ruby snatched up her share with a greedy gleam in her eye. "Thank you, sir," she gushed, and then nudged Ophelia to follow suit. Hesitantly, Ophelia took her share, a small stack just enough for her fees. She could hardly believe it, and as they left, Chief Clifford simply nodded as if the money were nothing to him. Ruby shrieked with excitement all the way back to the hostel. "One night, Ophelia! Just one night! And look at what we got. He didn't even ask us to spend the night with him. Ah, such men are rare. He's so generous. It has been 1 month and Chief didn't contact either of them. Ruby have been waiting for his call while Ophelia didn't even care. Their exams were in few days and Ophelia prepared well for it. She wrote her exams and excelled, while Ruby had a lot of carryovers. One evening, as Ophelia walked into the room, she saw Ruby crying in the room. She tried to console and encourage her. "I told you, but you would not listen to me." "Oh, please," Ruby interrupted. "If I hadn't even helped you with getting that money for your fees, would you be saying this? You would have just gone back to your village. Just stop with the lectures, okay?" "Well, I spoke to my big friends and they said I could make up for it somehow. Moreover, this is first year. I just felt a bit bad." "Okay, I just wanted to encourage you. Sorry I said something," said Ophelia. "By the way, have Chief called you?" Ruby asked. "No, he hasn't. Why do you ask?" "And you don't think you should even call to say hi, even after he gave you that kind of money? You are so strange, eh?" "Ruby, please. Please, just let me be," Ophelia said. That evening, Ruby called Chief Clifford on the phone. Chief, it's been a while, oh. You have forgotten your girls now. It's me, Ruby." "Oh, Ruby, Ophelia's friend." Ophelia rolled her eyes in jealousy. "Yes, Chief. How has it been?" "I've been good. I'm a busy man. I know I haven't reached out to you girls for a while now. Sorry about that. How's Ophelia? Hope she's good." Yes, she's fine," said Ruby. "Alright, that's good. I would call her soon. I will be free this weekend. Can you both join me so we could have fun?" "Yes, of course, that would be great," she answered, feeling very excited. "Alright, I'll text you the location this weekend. See you then." He hung up the call. That same day, Ruby told Ophelia about it, but she refused joining her to visit Chief Clifford. This made Ruby even happier because she wanted to have Chief all to herself while getting more money to live the big girl's lifestyle she wanted. The next day, Chief Clifford called Ophelia on the phone, but she refused answering his calls. Neither did she return them. That evening, Chief Clifford texted Ruby the location of the hotel they should meet. Ruby, in her excitement, left the hostel all dressed up so beautifully. Little did she know what awaits her. As she got to the hotel, she made her intentions known to Chief Clifford, telling him about how she admired him and would want to be with him. Chief Clifford smiled. "I know you like me, but I have eyes for Ophelia. But it seems she didn't even appreciate my kind gestures." His face changed in anger. "I didn't even ask for anything in return. How can she be so insensitive? I called her and she didn't even pick or return my calls." "Chief, calm down," Ruby said. "I am here. I would give you anything you want. Just forget her, okay? I have all it takes to make you happy. Can't you see?" She turns around, showing off her curvy posterior. "You know these things now, Chief." His angry expression changed as he smiled at her while holding her closely. Some minutes later, Ruby excused herself to use the restroom. Immediately she left, Chief Clifford slipped some powder into her drink, making sure it dissolved completely without a trace. When she returned back, they both had a wonderful time together, drinking and chatting. She also spent the night with him. The next morning, Ruby left for her hostel with another bundle of money as Chief Clifford gave her lots of it. She felt on top of the world. Her joy knew no bound. When she got to the hostel, she started feeling strange. Luckily, Ophelia was in the room. Since it was a Saturday morning, there was no lecture for her to attend. She saw it as an opportunity to rest while she did her laundry as well. She welcomed her, but Ruby complained she was not herself. I just started feeling strange since I got to the hostel, Ruby said, and she asked for a glass of water as she kept feeling weaker. Ophelia went to get her a glass of water. As she returned to hand it over to Ruby, frozen in terror, Ophelia watched as her friend gagged and choked, dollar bills tumbling from her lips one after another. The money was drenched, some of the notes crumpled and torn. Ruby gasped between heaves, her eyes wide with horror as she vomited money piled up. I can't. Stop, Ruby whispered, looking to Ophelia with a helplessness that twisted her insides. But soon the vomiting grew weaker and Ruby's gaze went unfocused. In the midst of the pile of cash, she lay motionless. Ophelia's screams shattered the silence of the hostel, bringing other girls rushing to the room. Paramedics were called, but it was too late. Ruby was pronounced dead on the spot, surrounded by the very money she had so desperately sought. Some policemen arrived, taking Ophelia in for investigation. The investigation was swift and brutal. They questioned some of the students around the hostel, and the police kept asking Ophelia countless questions, but she could not say a word. She was in total shock with tears streaming down her cheeks. A whirlwind of emotions went through her mind. Thoughts of her friend's death. It could have been both of them, or they could have easily avoided this tragedy. After some time, she became calm and started speaking to the police officers. She told them everything that had happened. She also told them she was in the room when Ruby received a message from Chief Clifford to meet at the hotel, but she didn't bother to ask her friend the name of the hotel. The police attempted to trace Chief Clifford, but every lead went cold. It seemed he had vanished without a trace, leaving nothing but heartbreak and rumors. After a painful process, Ophelia was finally cleared, but she returned home broken. Her mother devastated by what had happened. The village was filled with whispers and gossips, but Ophelia kept her head down, focusing on rebuilding her life and distancing herself from the tragedy. That is the end of the story. Moral of the story. This story reminds us of the dangers of seeking quick and easy paths to success, especially when they come from sources that seem too good to be true. Ruby's fate teaches us that genuine success comes from hard work, patience, and integrity. While temptations may be strong, let's remember that our choices shape our future. True friends like Ophelia will encourage us to make wise decisions, even when we don't want to hear it. Let's choose wisely, value the people who guide us, and remember that shortcuts can lead to places we may never return from. Hey! If you have watched to this point, I am Oge from African Folktale series with Ogene. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe, like, and share to your loved ones. And to my returning subscribers, you are the real MVPs. I do not take your support for granted at all. Thank you for watching. I will see you on my next one.